everyone, I'm Brooke. So I just completed my week 2 of module 2 for Flatiron School. Whew, what a whirlwind. So the first test, I almost failed it, but basically my teacher said, you've demonstrated that you're coming in on weekends, you've hired a tutor, you're staying late and coming early, so I know you know the material. And I basically just got really bad test anxiety and, just freaked out and forgot everything I'd studied for 40 plus hours. So she gave me, a little evaluation after the test where she asked me a few questions. I could answer them. She said, okay, I'm going to pass you, but you need to figure out, how to do really well on the next test. So module 2 came up and it's all about Ruby Rails. So this was our first framework we were going to go over. Before they taught us Rails, they taught us Sinatra, which is another framework. It is like a miniature version of Rails. It doesn't have all the capabilities, but it was a good way for them to introduce us to a framework. So we spent the first few days of our Module 2 Week 1 learning Sinatra. Usually we have tests on Tuesdays of the second week of a module. This time she pushed that test to Thursday because she wanted us to have enough time to learn Rails after Sinatra. So spent the first 3 days learning Sinatra, then we began Rails. I felt really confident with Sinatra. I spent a lot of time learning it. I spent time with my tutor learning it, and then we switched to Rails. So then I had to kind of throw away everything I knew before and learn Rails because there's different syntax, there's different capabilities, and so forth. This test, I was freaking out 6 days before the test, so I think that was like Friday before the test. I was crying. I was telling my boyfriend, I'm not going to be able to learn this. Nothing is sticking. I'm really frustrated. I almost didn't pass the last one, and I want to switch into the online course. I'll be able to do it self-paced, and I won't have all of this pressure of tests every 3 weeks, projects every 3 weeks. So my boyfriend's my biggest support. He fully believes in me. He's really well versed in a lot of languages and frameworks himself. And so he basically said, no, you can do this. We're not going to give up. He's like, if you give 120% and you still fail the test, then we can talk about you doing the online class. But for now, you need to really just keep doing what you're doing. It'll eventually sink in. He's like, I believe in you. And, I'm crying and I'm upset. And another person from our cohort did choose the online course because she didn't like the pace of the in-person course. And her and I were both kind of in a similar place. So I said, okay, I'm terrified, but I'm going to give 110% and see where I end up. So then the next day on Saturday, I went into WeWork, which is where our school is. I got in, I think at 11, I was the first person there, and just started doing work. So I just started, there's whiteboards, I was doing everything I could, and was studying really hard. I was there 7.5 hours, and then halfway through someone joined me. There's a guy in the cohort in front of me, so he is almost done with his program, and he was helping me. I was like, I don't know how to do this, I need help with this, and this, and this. And this one lab, I did 3 labs that day, and so each lab took me about an hour and a half, with the last lab taking me like 3. So it was a really frustrating day. I didn't take a lunch break. I didn't take a break at all. And I was like, okay, before I leave, I'm gonna work on this 4th lab. I'm gonna get it done. And when I looked at it, it's like I didn't study the 7.5 hours before. I forgot everything. So I just went home super upset. Then I did some self-care, relaxed a bit and said, okay, I did what I could do. I don't know how much more studying my brain could have taken. And then gave myself Sunday off. I think I exercised and cleaned the apartment. And then Monday I went in. We do a discussion question in the morning. And I knew it. I just knew the answer. I knew how to do it. It was all the hard work I'd put in. I pulled a lot of 12 and 13-hour days of week 1, coming in at 7, leaving at 7:30, 8, and just studying. And so finally, Monday, I felt a breakthrough. I felt like, oh my God, all this studying I've been doing is finally working, which was an incredible feeling. I started Monday in such a strong, empowered place, and the day was a breeze. It was all this hard work continued over and over, making sacrifices. There's happy hours every Thursday, and there's alcohol available, basically. There's beer available every day to me if I wanted it. And I have made a conscious decision since the beginning of my boot camp going into it that with how much learning I'm going to be doing and with how much I value this course I'm paying a lot of money for and making this huge career change, I do not drink Sunday through Thursday. So I don't drink on Sundays because then you go into Monday feeling crappy. I don't drink Thursdays. I value my Fridays. I mostly study or I'll socialize a little bit and then go back to studying. So I'm coming in early, I'm leaving late, I'm coming in on weekends, I'm studying on weekends, and I'm not drinking during the week. So these are some of the sacrifices I'm making to really take this seriously. I've also stopped working out during the week because that's about an hour and a half of time in the morning that I could either be sleeping or studying, and that just doesn't work for me. And I finish and get home so late, I can't work out at night because I will just be too amped up. So I've kind of said, I'm willing to give up that for a bit, even though I'm a total gym rat, I'm always in the gym. And I exercise on weekends, but I mostly just study, and dedicate myself to this. So Monday I had a breakthrough. Tuesday she was teaching us validations, which was brand new, and I was like, oh my God, this is on the test, I need to learn a brand new thing. There was some anxiety around that, but then she released 4 different practice tests, very similar to the code challenge we would be doing on Thursday. And I did 3 of them, which I think most people did 2, but I was like, you know what, I'm determined to ace this test. I will not give up, especially since I'd started seeing some of the positive feedback of all this hard work I'd put in. And so I did these 3 practice tests, and I found that the test room really stressed me out. It's long tables, it's white walls, it's fluorescent lighting. And instead of, doing your work with your monitor and your computer and your setup and everything, you have just your computer and you have no notes, and you can't use any of the lessons they've been teaching you because they give you tons of material. Week 1, most lunches, I did hour-long lessons with my tutor instead of taking a lunch. So then that was another sacrifice I made, that every single lunch, some of them I ate after, some of them I did not. I spent an hour with my tutor going over all the material. So I really, really wanted to drill in and learn everything very well. I didn't want to just memorize for the test, but know this knowledge. So 3 practice tests, many sessions with my tutor. I even did a 30-minute session the day of the test. I did a session before the test to build my confidence. So Thursday comes along. I did a 30-minute tutor session. The day before I did an hour-long tutor session. And I was nervous for the test. I was like, okay, I've been preparing so much for this moment. I can't wait for it to be over. That was my mentality. It was at 2:30, so we had the whole day to study and freak out, basically. And so I went into the test, and I'm so thankful for the advice of the girl who left, basically, who said, if you're anxious with the test room, take your practice tests there, because I was so comfortable in the room at this point. Amazing. And all this hard work, and I iterate the hard work because I'm not someone who learns just the first time. I have to drill it and do it and dream about it and philosophize about it. And it's just like, I have to do so much effort to learn it. But once I do, I can teach it to you and I will take it to the grave. I'm that kind of learner. And so I'm doing great on the test. There was that one little piece I couldn't get to work. And so I was like, oh, I really want this to be perfect. And I was surprised. Every piece of code I did worked. I would type some in. I would launch my server. The link would be clickable. What it was supposed to do would show up. It was awesome. That's the greatest thing about coding. When your code works and you've worked so hard at something, it's beautiful. And you get to see directly on the server what you've created. And it's incredible what I created in 7 days of learning. And it's funny because the person I was coming out of this test was the perfectionist. I wish I would have gotten all of it perfect. And when I called my boyfriend right after, he's like, this is a different Brooke. The person 6 days ago was going to give up and go in the online class, which there isn't anything wrong with that. I just think for me, it would have been motivated by giving up. And the online class, it could take you 6 months to a year because it's self-paced. I wanted to give up, and I was like, maybe this is the wrong career for me. And I had all these conversations going on. And I just stuck with it and gave 120%. For the test, they consult with you, basically. So I waited 2 hours. I was like, please just tell me I passed. I knew I did really well, but because I almost failed the last test, my anxiety was super high. And I was like, I will not believe that I passed until they literally tell me, you have passed. So the guy pulls me in the room and just says, great job. He would give me a 4 out of 5. But the test gave me a 3 out of 5 because I had some redundant code. That gave me determination. I want to get a 5 out of 5. I want perfect code. And now we're on to week 3, and I'm doing some work over the weekend because we have MLK day off, basically creating a fitness app. So we have our models, views, controllers, we have validations, we have all this really cool stuff happening. And then I'm also teaching myself some CSS styling because now I'm hungry for more and I want to go above and beyond with this project. and then it will be up on my GitHub, which I'll share that link below. I also have a coding technical blog, so I also link that down below. And there are sacrifices you have to make. This is, probably a year's worth of material they're teaching you in 4 months. So you do the math on how much extra work you need to do. But I'm really pleased because if I'm being challenged this much, it's that more rewarding, and I know that I'm going to get a job after. Thanks so much for watching. I also wrote a really, really long, in-depth blog article comparing the main boot camps in San Francisco, and a lot of them are national. So give that a read. It'll be down below. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing Sunday.